Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Lexi Lopal.
And I'm Andrew Knowles. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Now, we told you about Little Wings Relief last summer as the group was preparing their first shipment of relief supplies to Ukraine. Well, the group is now working on sending a second shipment overseas.
Newswatch reporter Jacob Mata has more on what the group hopes to accomplish this time around.
At Little Wing Relief, work starts at noon, consisting of accepting donations.
And then I know you said that the wipes they need to use.
Oh yeah, they do. They do.
Taking inventory, and packaging supplies.
Yeah, I just like very practical way to get involved in like such a global issue and like be able to reach people from where I'm at now.
On any given day, there could be 10 to 12 volunteers working. The process is pretty routine since this is the second shipment of supplies the organization is putting together to send to Ukraine.
Well, I'm so thankful that we have this going on in Athens because the need is so great and a lot of people do want to know how to help. And I'm so glad that we have this very concrete way of helping.
The first 40-foot shipping container sent $188,565 worth of supplies to Ukraine, including a frontline hospital tent that totaled $16,500. Little Wing Relief will be sending a 20-foot shipping container to Ukraine on February 13th. And once that's complete, the message going forward is clear.
We'll do another load, and then we'll do another load.
For Newswatch, I'm Jacob Mata in Athens.
If you would like to donate, visit their website at littlewingrelief.org. In other news, a Philadelphia Eagles offensive guard is indicted on one count of rape in Guernsey County. Joshua Matthew Sills has been indicted by the Ohio Attorney General's office on one count of rape and kidnapping. The indictment says the 25-year-old engaged in sexual activity that was not consensual and held the victim against her will. Sills was issued a summons to appear in Guernsey County Common Pleas Court at 1 p.m. on February 16th.
A man is dead after being shot by a Jackson County Sheriff's deputy. Jackson County Sheriff Ted Fraser and his deputies were called to Gisco West Road yesterday on the report of a man subject barricaded in a residence. According to Sheriff Fraser, the man blockaded himself inside and would not surrender for hours. At 2 p.m., deputies entered the home when one deputy felt that their life was threatened by the suspect, which led to the shooting. Jackson County coroner has identified the suspect as 31-year-old William E. Beach of Jackson County. The final autopsy report still awaits. Sheriff Fraser confirmed that Beach was the only person injured during the incident, and they are not releasing any additional information at this time. The Ohio Bureau of Investigation and Identification will release more information in the future.
Good afternoon, Southeast Ohio. I'm Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleef. Athens today, you do see those temperatures right now are quite chilly, below freezing, currently sitting at 29 degrees. Now it says overcast skies, but you've seen throughout the day that we've actually had relatively clear skies, especially compared to what we've seen throughout the last several days. Now Athens currently, we don't have any winter weather advisories here, but in West Virginia there is still a lingering winter weather advisory and weather statement issued by the National Weather Service. Now that is now passed, as the only thing you can see here in the regional radar, there's a little blip here around Charleston. That's just snow that's brought up because of those colder temperatures and the winds that are funneling into the region. But this is what's kind of going on across the country. You'll see this whole band that's moving away from us currently, and what's actually driving that weather is a high pressure system sitting in our region, and that will eventually push everything away from us, and we won't see anything collecting here in southeastern Ohio. I'll have more on my full weather coming up in a few minutes, but that's all I have for first weather. Back to you, Andre.
Thanks. In his annual State of State address, Governor Mike DeWine says he wants to focus on programs that benefit children. DeWine in the address laid out his plan to create the Ohio Department of Children and Youth. The new department will focus on children's issues, especially those who are in low-income households. DeWine also asked lawmakers to eliminate the state's sales tax on baby items and for more money for K-12 charter and career tech schools. DeWine says he wants to expand existing programs for low-income Ohio kids who go on to college and wants to give out a new $5,000 scholarship.
Finding someone to talk to when life gets tough can be hard, and a simple bench is helping people in need find someone to listen.
It's called the Friendship Bench, a place where you can find the help you need in your time of need. And there are at least 3 here in Southeast Ohio.
When this bench arrived, it was like the symbol that this is actually happening, you know, because it was just an idea.
The Friendship Bench, a place where anyone can come to talk to someone trained to listen.
It's just a very welcoming symbol to just sit down and let's talk about it.
Ruth Dudding, a director at Athens Health Department, says the program is a collaboration with Ohio University to help those struggling with mental health.
We thought that this would be perfect for where we are and what we needed to do to help our community.
Dudding heard about this program from the other side of the world.
In Zimbabwe, very few mental health professionals are available to talk to people, and so they started training grandmothers, trusted grandmothers, community members, to sit with people.
This Friendship Bench is located right in front of the Athens Health Department. 2 other benches will soon be placed at the Chancey Library and the Plains Library. Now, though there aren't benches at those locations just yet, people can still go to those locations to speak to trained listeners.
So many things happen during the day that we don't know what to do with or who to talk to, and that's what I'm here for.
Evelyn Nagy, a trained listener for the Friendship Bench at the Chancey Library, thinks this service is important for the town.
This community is not that big, but this community does struggle.
Nagy says she's not here to fix people's situations, but wants to help guide them to get through it.
Hopefully what people can get is to open up to their own awareness and know that even though my situation isn't going to change, that maybe I can change the way I feel about it and walk through the rest of my day.
For those interested in taking advantage of this service, you can find the available times and schedule an appointment on the Athens Health Department website.
What a cool initiative.
Yes.
Are they planning on making more benches around the area?
Yeah, so actually they're collaborating with Ohio University, and we'll be possibly getting them around campus to help students and faculty. So that'll be interesting.
What a cool thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
It'd be great, yeah.
Well, coming up next, people come together for Tyree Nichols' funeral. Plus, a new study finds links between air pollution and mental health. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
People ask, what was the American strategy? The Americans did not have a strategy for Afghanistan.
Drawing on years of reporting from both sides of the war.
You set off a car bomb, it's going to kill innocent civilians.
This was fighting.
It wasn't clear they had the patience or the understanding.
We asked an enormous amount of those on the ground in particular.
Missteps and miscalculations.
Why did we fail on our mission, and who was responsible?
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Black Americans created a world on the other side of the color line, a world behind the veil.
Black people create spaces where we can be seen by each other. Sometimes you just want to celebrate how dope it is to be black.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
On Secrets of the Dead.
Welcome to the Dark Ages.
An era of violence and chaos.
There's plagues, there's civil war, the Saxons are just slaughtering everybody.
Did the mythical King Arthur rise from this moment to unite Britain?
Caliban, is that Excalibur?
Were the Dark Ages far different and far more prosperous than believed?
This is people living well. This is people living very well.
King Arthur's Lost Kingdom on Secrets of the Dead.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
Why Chillicothe? Why this area? For some reason, this became a mecca for what was probably a religion, what we call Hopewell culture. We'll never know the reason that this was so important to certain people and why that developed, but it's certainly a beautiful place for it to have happened.
An investigation is underway in the small town of Wyoming, Ohio, after an officer-involved shooting left a local man in critical condition. Family members say police mistook Joseph Freezer for a burglar who, when he was just cleaning out his late grandmother's apartment. Todd Dykes has the latest.
I have reviewed the body-worn camera footage from all the officers.
Police Chief Brooke Brady speaking out, describing the moments before and after Joseph Frazier Jr. was shot at by 2 of her officers.
The officers fired 4 shots at the minivan as the minivan was accelerating towards them.
Frazier was at an apartment building on Durrell Avenue in Wyoming around 1 in the morning on Monday. His sister was cleaning at an apartment that belonged to their grandmother, who had passed away recently. A neighbor called police reporting a burglary. When the first 2 officers arrived, Frazier and his dad, who was also there, took off running, with Frazier jumping in his minivan and trying to drive away. Officers say they issued commands for him to stop, but that he didn't. His sister, Shonda Coleman, disagrees.
I didn't hear none of that. I didn't hear no commands. All I heard is pop, 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 pop. Like, that was like 10 rounds. Yeah, I want to see the body cam. I want all the cops that was here, everyone that was here, I want their information.
Frazier was rushed to UC Medical Center, where he remains in critical condition.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Frazier family during this time.
In Memphis, the friends, family, and supporters of Tyree Nichols came together today in celebration of his life just weeks after his fatal encounter with police. This tragedy, just the latest to shine a light on police brutality. Ivan Rodriguez is in Memphis with the latest.
A Memphis community comes together in mourning.
We long to not be here in this moment, in this way, for this reason.
Celebrating the life of Tyree Nichols.
A good person, a beautiful soul, a son, a father.
In attendance, Vice President Kamala Harris, civil rights leaders, and the families of others who died at the hands of police.
I'm here to stand in solidarity with the family.
Memphis police officers beat, tased, and pepper sprayed Nichols during a traffic stop on January 7th. Nichols died from his injuries 3 days later. The encounter captured on camera.
This violent act was not in pursuit of public safety.
5 former Memphis police officers are facing second-degree murder charges in connection with his death. Prosecutors say they're looking at everyone involved and believe firmly in their case.
We're confident that we'll be able to prove every element of every of those offenses charged to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt.
Civil rights leaders now demanding action, accountability, and change nationwide in the face of yet another death of a black person at the hands of law enforcement.
I don't know when, I don't know how, but we won't stop until we hold you accountable and change the system.
In Memphis, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
At Tyree's funeral, Vice President Kamala Harris demanded that Congress pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Now, on to bad news.
There's bad news for people living in areas with high levels of air pollution. A new study shows that it's associated with a higher risk of depression and anxiety. Gloria Pazmino has the latest on the research.
Air pollution. It isn't just bad for your lungs, it may also be bad for your mental health. That's according to a new study published in the journal JAMA Psychiatry. Researchers found that people who were exposed to multiple pollutants over a long period of time were at a higher risk of suffering from depression or anxiety than those living with cleaner air.
The kind of pollution that the folks in this study were exposed to was everything from cars to coal plants to farms to many other sources.
Records of about 390,000 participants from the UK were examined. And during the study period, more than 13,000 were diagnosed with depression, and more than 15,000 were diagnosed with anxiety. Researchers found those who lived in areas with higher pollution levels were at a higher risk for depression or anxiety.
They had between an 8 and 17% higher risk of depression and a 9 to 14% increased risk of anxiety. It's not exactly known why pollution might have this link to anxiety and depression, but when you think about it, pollution can damage your lungs, it can damage your heart, so it makes sense that it's possible that it could also damage your brain and your neurological system.
In Atlanta, I'm Gloria Pazmino.
Studies also show some air pollution pollution can cause the body to release harmful substances that can hurt the network of blood vessels and tissues that protect the brain, possibly leading to anxiety and depression, but more research will be needed to fully understand this connection. A deadly winter storm is causing problems across several states. That story still ahead.
Now, even though we're not being impacted here in southeastern Ohio, we still will have some cold temperatures impacting our region. More on that when Newswatch returns. In the meantime, if you're looking for more Newswatch, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
The war's declared in April 1917, and there was a need for encampments. Camp Sherman, close to 10,000 acres. It pulls a large number of men in. There's close to 2,000 buildings. There's this connection between the city of Chillicothe and what was happening at Camp Sherman. It's such an important piece of our history, and boy, when you're in Chillicothe, you really feel that.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift of stock is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
When I was a kid, Cahokia was the place to be.
Time changed, man.
It was like a dark cloud. Everything went to welting away and stuff. But now, you can see a little light.
There's only one way tonight. That's a double way tonight. I'm ready for football, bro.
Since they've been winning, the pride is coming back.
We moving into a different place in this town. 2, 3,
Out of the Muck, Monday, February 6th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
Black Americans created a world on the other side of the color line, a world behind the veil.
Black people create spaces where we can be seen by each other. Sometimes you just want to celebrate how dope it is to be black.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome back, Southeastern Ohio. I'm Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleve. Like I mentioned today, Athens, you did see those highs up to 34 degrees, and then they are going to drop low overnight tonight. Now, if you were up early this morning, you did see those temperatures were really chilly with that 18-degree low that we saw this morning. Now, it says mostly cloudy skies, but as you progressed on through the day, we actually did see that those skies did clear up quite nicely, and that's kind of associated with going on across the country here. You can see right here in Athens itself, we have this kind of frontal band, and that's what's bringing most of that icy weather that we've been listening about when it comes to Arkansas, Texas, and they've been impacted with that. Now here in southeastern Ohio, we do actually have this high pressure system that's lingering right here over the middle of the country, and it's moving on east, funneling into our region, and that's actually going to sit there and bring us some cooler air, but also clearer skies. Now currently the National Weather Service does have 2 winter weather advisories out, one mainly down here in West Virginia, and a little bit north they have a special weather statement. Now that is associated with that high pressure and that storm system that has moved in through the region. Now they're not expected to get any more true accumulation of snow or ice on the ground, but it's still there because of that slight risk and also the cold winds making things very cold, and it could be dropping temperatures. Now across the region, you see Athens currently sitting at 30 degrees, Parkersburg 30, and so is Huntington, West Virginia. But if you go a little more south to Charleston, they're looking at 32, and up north towards Columbus, close to that high pressure system and those cold airs that are moving in our region, they're sitting at 25 and 24 degrees. Now on the active radar right now for our local region, there's nothing going on. There might be something, there it is, right at the bottom by Charleston with a slight blip. But then if we expand this and zoom out, you'll see that whole system here and how that is all funneling across the country, but then slowly decaying, and that's due to a high pressure system that's sitting in our region. Now Athens tomorrow, you're going to notice those temperatures are going to still be chilly, but a little bit warmer with a high of 34 degrees with that overnight low of 21 degrees. Again, partly sunny skies. That's mainly because of this high pressure system that's going to be sitting in the region. Moving on towards tomorrow night, it's still there. You still have that low pressure system down south that is going to cause a little more icing havoc down there for them. But then as we move into Friday, we see another system more up towards the north there that'll eventually move this high pressure out of our region, but that will leave us with nice and cooler and colder and clear skies for the next several days. Now, 7-day outlook, you can actually see that those skies, yeah, they're saying mostly cloudy, but it's just mostly, it's not completely. That high pressure will move that out of the region, but we will notice cold temperatures, especially Friday night with those low around 11 degrees. We do have a storm system making its way through the region as we further through our 7-day outlook, but that's all I have for weather. Back to you, Lexi.
A winter storm blamed for at least 2 deaths in Texas is hitting several states with more ice, sleet, and dangerous road conditions. Conditions worsen while power crews work to answer the call for thousands already left without electricity. Chris Wynn has the latest.
Across the south and central U.S., an icy storm is wreaking havoc on drivers, leaving some scrambling for safety.
I'm just trying to maintain distance, stay away from everyone, and let them entertain me. I watch them slide into the Jersey walls and each other.
On this Dallas highway, semi-trucks inch ahead, spinning their wheels on new ice atop Tuesday's refrozen slush. That's if they can move at all. A local off-road club brought Jeeps, tow hooks, and horsepower to help keep things rolling.
My dad's a trucker, and I feel for them, and I know I want to do everything I can to help them out.
Cranes were needed to recover this tractor trailer after it skated off an elevated roadway near the town of Van. And in Oklahoma, terrifying moments captured by the dash cam of a sheriff's deputy. This semi sliding into the cable barriers of Interstate 40 in Sequoia County. The driver, thankfully not hurt. Winter storm warnings and advisories stretch from western Tennessee to central Oklahoma and southern New Mexico, with Texas taking the brunt of this polar punch. Statewide, more than 250,000 homes and businesses are in the dark, according to poweroutage.us, and in many cases also without heat. Higher temperatures not expected until mid-morning Thursday as the storm continues to grip the region. I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
The icy storm is expected to reach the Midwest Thursday with possible temperatures falling to 40 degrees below normal and threatening wind chills as cold as -50. The National Weather Service says parts of the Northeast haven't experienced lows like that in decades.
Coming up in sports, both Ohio basketball teams took on Eastern Michigan in the last 2 days. Find out about the results when Newswatch returns.
Black Americans created a world on the other side of the color line, a world behind the veil.
Black people create spaces where we can be seen by each other. Sometimes you just want to celebrate how dope it is to be black.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Beneath the streets of London, a massive construction project is underway.
Crossrail, a huge new railway for London.
How do engineers tackle such an immense challenge?
Everything has to work perfectly.
We're never complacent because that's the day it goes wrong.
Wow, wow, wow. That looks fantastic.
London Supertunnel on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
When I was a kid, Cahokia was the place to be.
Time changed, man.
It was like a dark cloud. Everything went to wilting away and stuff. But now you can see a little light.
It's only one way tonight. That's a double way tonight. I'm ready to football, bro.
Since they've been winning, the pride is coming back.
We moving into a different place in this town. 2, 3,
Out of the Muck, Monday, February 6th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
Lucy Ware Webb was born here. As a young lady, as the wife of the governor, as the wife of the president of the United States, she's always the same person. Just a terrific lady. As residents of Chillicothe, we're very, very proud of her. To have a person of that character to represent this community, small as it is, in the White House.
Welcome back, I'm Reese Thompson. Both Ohio basketball teams play Eastern Michigan this week, with the women's team getting set to take on the Eagles at the top of the hour in Ypsilanti, Michigan. This season for the Bobcats has been one of their worst in recent memory, with their 16 losses being the most they've had in a season since 2013. The Bobcats rank near the last in the MAC in scoring, defense, and rebounding. One of the bright spots of this season has been sophomore guard Yaya Felder, who has been on a tear recently, scoring 25 points per game over her last 6. The Bobcats come into tonight's game with a conference record of 1-7, while the Eagles are 2-6. As for the Ohio men's basketball team, they were in Ypsilanti last night and fell to Eastern Michigan 90-79, led by 19 points from preseason first-team All-MAC forward Amani Bates. The Eagles drew the Bobcats in and let it fly from 3, as it seemed all their shots just kept falling. They shot over 50% from 3 and from the field. Guard Tyson Acuff was their leading scorer with 29 points and 6 3-pointers. As for the Bobcats, they fell to 2-9 on the road this season. Dwight Wilson III led Ohio with 23 points. A big reason for their loss, the Bobcats shot only 9 of 20 from free throw line, their lowest of the year. We are just 2 days away from what Ohio hockey head coach Lionel Marone calls the best game in the ACHA this season, as Friday the Bobcats will host the #1 ranked Minot State Beavers. The Bobcats clinched the CSCHL championship with a win over Illinois last Saturday, making them 23-4-1 on the season. The Beavers, however, are a perfect 21-0. The game is one the Bobcats have been looking forward to for a long time, as both teams come in nearly evenly matched. One X factor for the Cats is freshman center Luke Reeve, who leads the ACHA in goals, points, and is second in assists, with 29, 36, and 65 respectively. Marone had the highest possible praise for Reeve, calling him one of the best players Ohio hockey has ever had.
He's the best player in the league. There's no debate. He does everything right on both sides of the puck. Thinking that he's just a freshman is incredible. I think we have a diamond here, so we need to help him develop and get better, but he'll be a great player for Ohio in the long run.
Moving back over to the hardwood, Federal Hawking sealed the TVC Hawking title last night after defeating the Waterford Wildcats 77-99. If there was one way to describe this game, it would be physical, as both teams came into this matchup ready to give it their all. While the game started out slow, the rebounding game for the Lancers pulled them away, along with 3-pointers and continued pressure on the glass allowed Federal Hawking to succeed. The Lancers had pulled away with a 57-32 lead heading into the last quarter of play. Andrew Earhart scored 18 points along with Caden Chapman and Tarek Cottrell, putting up 14 points on the night. Federal Hawking played the high-tempo basketball throughout the rest of the game to keep a 17-game win streak alive. The Lancers host the Trimble Tomcats on Friday night under the lights for senior night. I am super excited to see how this team does going into the tournament play, and their confidence is there. So now they just got to show it on the hardwood.
Yeah, well, for those going to those games, here's a look at your final weather with Jacob.
Yeah, so you actually have the system that's going to stay away from our region because of a high pressure system right overhead here in Athens, Ohio. But tonight you'll notice those temperature lows are going to be very chilly. So if you are heading out, do be prepared. Those temperatures are cold. And we could still see ice on the roads if anything has refrozen throughout the day. Now, Athens tomorrow, your Groundhog Day, high of 34, low of 21. He may see a shadow, he may not, but he will know it's cold, especially because of this high pressure keeping things cold, and we'll see that dip in temperature and then a rise again throughout the week.
Well, thanks, Jake. Finally tonight, today marks the beginning of Black History Month. Beginning in 1976, Black History Month is an opportunity for us as all Americans to celebrate and honor the accomplishments of African Americans throughout history. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. Ohio University will hold an event at Baker University Center to kick off the month-long celebration. The event will take place at 5 p.m. tomorrow.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Have a great night.
It's your palate, it's your taste.
Discovering stories,
voices of the people.
Such a shared experience.
The choice is yours with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Support comes from Goldsberry Wealth Strategy.